The CEIBS China Business Survey is the third year we publish, and the purpose is to understand the challenges and success factors of companies doing business in China. In terms of participation, it's been very successful. We have 1,214 executives from both Chinese and foreign companies. 67% of those executives are top level. 63% work for Chinese companies and 37% for foreign companies. And among the foreign companies, as you can see in this map, around 220 are companies located in Europe, and 100 are located in the United States. The rest are all over the world. What makes this survey unique is that we combine, and there are not, as long as I know, any survey that does this, Chinese and foreign companies in the same survey. What allows us to compare the responses to the same questions coming from those two different groups. And just to insist on the comprehensiveness of this survey, the companies participating in the survey in total in 2012 had $80 billion revenue and employ around 4 million people. I think that makes the survey unique. The main challenges that these companies declare, actually the top 4 challenges are common for both groups. So Chinese and foreign companies agree on those. The number 1, top of all the rest, is about finding and retaining people. And this has been consistent since we started publishing the survey. It continues to be the number 1 challenge, people. Second is raising labor costs, which is another HR element. Yeah? China is becoming more expensive in terms of labor, which means there is a transition in the country. China is going away from this factory of the world, is losing that part, and then it's going to more added value to the production. Yeah. The number 3 is competition. Competition is becoming more intense. And the number 4, there are concerns about the decline of the slower growth of the Chinese economy. Now, with the rest of the challenges, there are some differences between the two groups. For instance, for Chinese, an important challenge is corporate governance, which is a reflection of the youth of the Chinese organizations. Both state-owned enterprises, I mean, those are all organizations, but they are relatively new to the market economy. And private companies, most of them are still in the first generation. So the CEO still is the founder of the company. So when these organizations become more complex, bigger size, corporate governance is a challenge, is an issue. For foreign companies, that is not a challenge. Most of them have that part solved. For them, what is a challenge is the lack of understanding and support from head office. Again, that's not a surprise. Distance matters. And that could happen if you have companies in Brazil with headquarters in Paris. Yeah? But in the case of China, it's even more complex because it's not only the geographical distance, it's also the language distance, the cultural distance, the legislation distance that is adding to that problem of communication with people in head office. There are 4 top strategies that they use, and both four strategies are the same for both groups. So we don't see difference, a small difference between Chinese and foreign companies. There is total agreement. Yeah? The first one is developing a feeling of belonging to the company, which is an interesting finding. Yeah? And the question is how you do this, how you increase or create this feeling of belonging. And my answer to that, and as an interpretation, is company culture matters. So the fit between the employee and the company culture is important. Things like induction programs, bringing new employees into the culture, recruiting and hiring people that fit with the culture is a critical factor. And also Another factor is relationship with the boss. I think the Chinese really value, have a good communication, a trust relationship with the boss, and the boss to be a kind of a coach that helps them to grow, to become and grow as professionally, but also as a human being. That's the number one. Number two is to offer career paths, so that they don't see that there is a block, a ceiling in the career progression in the organization. Regarding the competition, that was another factor that appeared as a very important challenge. Competition is becoming more and more intense. We asked the participants, who are your main competitors? The most important competitor for both groups, foreigners and Chinese, are Chinese private companies. There is a consensus in two groups that the Chinese are becoming stronger. In the past, it was clear that the Chinese were more at the lower level of the market. The multinationals, foreign companies, were going for the middle and the top. Well, what you see is more and more Chinese companies are improving and going up the scale and entering the territory that was before reserved for the multinationals. So Chinese private companies are becoming stronger, and they are the most important competitors. When they ask about what is the second most important competitors, here there is a difference. For Chinese companies, it's state-owned enterprises. For foreign companies are other foreign companies. Regarding the success factors, which is the most important part of this report, given these challenges, what do you think is important to be successful here? And as you see in this figure, the top three success factors are quality product and services. It's no surprise. The second one is the quality of the management team. To have good people in management, for them, both Chinese and foreigners, I mean, they agree on this, is important, very important, is critical to have a good quality management team. And that is one of the challenges. It's connected to the challenge that we mentioned before about human resources. It's about the middle managers, to find these people. They exist in China, but they are not enough. It's a question of supply and demand. The third one is the strong company culture. What reinforces something that we saw before. Culture is a competitive tool, a very competitive tool. The confidence index is one of the questions we ask to the companies, how they feel about doing business in this country. And this is a question that we have been asking since the first survey. So we can see the trend, how it has gone. And it's true what you say about the effect of the slower growth in the Chinese market. There is a slight reduction in the confidence of these companies, but it's still very positive. The confidence is a scale that goes from 0, no confidence at all, to 10, maximum confidence. And we ask them to choose a number in a scale between those two limits. Both foreign companies and Chinese companies gave the same number. For 2013, this year, they give 6.5 as the confidence indices. Above 5 is still positive. When we ask them about how confident are you about the next 5 years, the number is 7. So it's even they think that the conditions will be better, even better in the future. So yes, the answer is yes. They are confident. It's a little bit lower than in previous year, but it's still both Chinese and foreign companies are confident about doing business in this country.